Hey there, good people, and welcome back to the DNP podcast. I'm your host, Doug with it, and I'm ready for the Super Bowl this Sunday. This episode will give a little preview of the game between the Seahawks and the Patriots, and I'll also give a ranking of each head coaching hire in this cycle since all the season's been filmed. This episode is available on Spotify, YouTube, and our podcast, so like, rate, subscribe, and all that good stuff so you can stay up to date with each upload. So, we've made it. We've got to this part of the year, Super Bowl Sunday. Most wonderful time of the year, as some people say. And I'll certainly subscribe to that notion. If you hear any nasality in my voice, sure, we'll run with it. Yeah, there's a little bit of illness, but scratch that. So, excuse the voice, it sounds a little bit more, pardon. But, aside from that, we've got Super Bowl this Sunday, Seahawks and the Patriots. Gonna be a really good one. Obviously, Seahawks are 4.5 point favourites in this game, but despite that, at least in discussions I've had with people I know about what's to come this Sunday, I'm hearing a lot more people kind of give the Patriots the nod and say that they're going to run out winners. And not that I can't see it, because I do believe that this is going to be a close game. I would, if I had to put money on it, I would go with the Patriots plus the 4.5 points. But I'm a bit bemused this sort of expectation that it's just the Patriots in it, it's the Boston teams that are just gonna come out the winners because they have it that good. I don't see this Patriots team having that sort of aura or that sort of pizzazz because they haven't built it up yet. Like, I'm not going to, denigrate them for their schedule, but it is a fair point to bring up when you come to what they've had to deal with coming into this game, at least on the back end. Like, 14 wins is a little bit of a propping up of where this team is. Like, this is a team that is essentially in the first year of a rebuild, that the roster, however much improved, and it is vastly improved from what they were last year, clearly. I mean, going from 4-13 to 14-3 is a clear sign, and obviously a Super Bowl berth is a clear sign that this is a team to be reckoned with for years to come. But the way I see it, this is a Super Bowl that's come a year early in the process. Like, no Patriots fan in their wildest dream, no matter the expectations that they've been able to accrue from years past, would go into the season saying, I know we're 4-13 and the Belichick years and then Mayo for 1 year, but Braves is gonna come in and take us back to the bowl in year one. Like, no one was putting that early in the season, and obviously they're here now. So again, credit where it's due, but it just seems, in my view, that it's one where this squad isn't fully ready for it, I guess, would be my view on the matter. And kind of attributing the aura or the, achievements of past Patriots teams, and obviously, Brady and Belichick and, having Gronk and Edelman, like, those guys aren't suiting up on Sunday, right? You've got Drake May, who's obviously coming in with a shoulder issue over the week, which obviously we'll see how that plays out during the game. But he's not playing in the snow, so I'd imagine he'd be all right. I mean, we've seen Sam Darnold play with an oblique and be perfectly fine and play actually his best football. So I'm not going to say that I'll expect Drake May to drop a stinker, but I would very much ascribe to the notion that this isn't, a Patriots team that is going to be devoid of mistakes throughout the game, that, the Seahawks defense, especially the cornerbacks, over the Patriots receivers and say that, they're going to get outmatched or anything like that. The possibility is that Josh McDaniels out-schemes and out-thinks, the Seattle defense. But, Mike McDonald himself is, a defensive mastermind, a genius in that sense. So I can't imagine them getting, out-thought for large periods of the game to where, the Patriots come out and the win. I just feel there's a bit of a talent disparity here between the rosters. Obviously, the quarterback talent, goes in the Patriots' favour, you'd argue, but when it comes to the rest of the roster, I think it's almost as clear as night and day. And I wouldn't, I wouldn't think that the do your job sort of vibes, or the Patriots teams of old are just all, conglomerating with this, mixing together with this Patriots team of today, and think that just 1 year into it we're going to run through and bring another bowl to New England at Foxborough. I just don't see that being the case. I do expect a close game. I do expect a competitive game. While my score prediction for this game would be Seahawks 27, Patriots 24 with a last minute field goal. I do think it's going to be a close one, but I just don't believe that this is just, we're just coming up to the Patriots, just back to old glory, and that nothing of previous teams or previous schedule matters. This isn't me saying that, this Patriots team doesn't belong here, or that there's a, they're going to get whitewashed, they're going to get battered. I'm not claiming that. I've just said my prediction 27-24, but I don't know, from the people I've spoken with about the game, the fact that they don't even hear my takes almost on the fact that this is the most balanced team in the league, Sam Darnold's not got the bozo gene anymore, all that sort of stuff, JSN, that they're not hearing it because the Patriots just going to do what they're going to do. This Patriots team hasn't earned that credibility yet. They haven't got the sort of, win at all cost thing, in my view. But, obviously we've got a Super Bowl to find out, and I can't wait. But in my mind, Seahawks going to come out on top on Sunday night. Okay. All of the head coaching vacancies have now been filled. 10 of them popped up at the end of the regular season and beyond, and now it becomes my job to rank them from top to bottom. So I think the way I'll do this is I'll put my overall list from 1 to 10 on the left or the right, however way I feel when I'm editing this episode. But this is my rankings from top to bottom in terms of the head coaching vacancies. I think when looking at the rankings that I've put, the fact that Michael LaFleur, Arizona's new head coach, is at the bottom is down to 2 words: Nathaniel Hackett. That's, plain and simple. No matter, obviously, I've ranked it below Cleveland there, and though Arizona, I would say, has a much better roster on the offensive side of the ball, at least in some real young talent on the defense side of the ball, with Walter Nolan and Will Johnson, Melton and all that stuff, and then the other side where you've got Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, obviously big question at the quarterback position, and being in that division with, Super Bowl competitors, Seahawks, Niners, Rams, it's just a big mountain to climb in that regard, and, being sort of the bridesmaid in Arizona's search to begin with, because they were kind of holding out for Kubiak, and then they instantly just snap up Michael LaFleur. It just feels like this one, again, Nathaniel Hackett, we know what he is as an OC. I'm not sure how great a staff LaFleur is able to pluck from and build with regards to what he's got there. So I think, that's one where that's actually the higher out of these 10 that I would put money on to say is sacked first or fired first, because I just think Arizona's one of those where it's tough to win there with everything going on. Monken at 9, again, another weird search at their part where they're, kind of putting a ultimatum of Jim Short's got to be our DC, or we'll have him involved in the head coaching search, and then we'll hire someone else, alienating Shorts, who's now kind of throwing a hissy fit, not coming back to the organization, but that's still kind of up in the air. Yeah, it's very weird vibes in Cleveland, and I guess obviously very much related to who I've put at number two there in regards to kind of the organizational, structure behind them, and the confidence in whether that is one that is conducive to winning in the long term, and Todd Monken himself being very much a on the back end of his coaching career, you'd argue many years of experience, and it's now where he finally gets a chance at a head coaching job, but at admittedly lower tier team and lower tier sort of opportunity, where a lot of people like Mike McDaniel went to the Chargers to be their OC, declining there. Grant Udinski sticks around in Jacksonville. Jesse Minter took his name out of that. Like, there was so many of the signs to point to Cleveland not being an attractive job. And then you look at the roster, especially on the offense side of the ball, it's very questionable. But I think it's a bit more confidence because the division's a bit easier, and you feel that I guess that video of Monken and Shador, like, there is a bit more hope, even if it's just that little speck over Arizona, which is why I've got it 9 instead of 10. Hafley, bit uninspiring, but they had positive times in Green Bay. Interesting one with the fact that as soon as Micah went down, they were much worse on that side of the ball. So we'll see how much he's able to translate that over to Miami, but a bit more talent on that roster that I think they'd be a bit better in that sense. 7, McCarthy, Steelers. Heard it around, and I agree with this notion that he's just an offensive Mike Tomlin. So there is a certain flaw. It's just with what the Steelers could have done over, with the candidates available. It just feels like a lateral, sideways move. They could have really, built themselves a bit more for long-term stability, as opposed to, McCarthy being 64, in his 60s, and kind of maintaining a short-term stability for what could have been, a bit more of a sure high risk but also high reward move. This is very, very low risk, low reward from the Steelers, so that uninspiring kind of keeps it. 7 in my view, Joe Brady. I think I've mentioned that a lot over the past 2 episodes, so I won't divulge too much further, but there were a lot of questions to come from the Bills' hiring process and how consistent it was with their reasons for kicking McDermott out the door. 5, Robert Saleh, the Titans, partially due to him also coming in as a play caller in the defense side of the ball, which he wasn't in the Jets, and you also kind of point to the Jets as being a bit of a basket case to work in, especially during his tenure there of the whole Aaron Rodgers situation and Willie Johnson and Madden ratings and all that sort of the like. But also big reason why this is ranked as high as I have it for a team like the Titans, who aren't exactly in the best position roster wise, is because you've paired up Cam Ward with Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator, which seems like a massive coup for a team in Tennessee's position. Like, he had the chance to go to the Eagles as their OC, different, the Chargers, the much more, built to win immediately teams. But because he believes in Cam Ward, as we heard, from last year in the draft process, the fact that he's decided, okay, this is where I think I'm going to get my next head coaching job, is working with Cam Ward, is a real big acquisition for the Titans. So, that's one where I point to it and say, okay, obviously coming from that, Shanahan tree as a head coach, you can pull from, good minds and, build a real good staff. So that's one where I think the Titans, as much as is a bit of a question of kind of having a rehash head coach in Rob Saleh. The fact that he can, you know, attract top names in their staff position proves that it's a positive hire that pushes them in the right direction. Kubiak for the Raiders, not official but very much expected, is one I rate highly. Again, I mentioned it a couple of weeks back with the Raiders, but being able to bring in Mendoza as your QB1 and having Bowers and Genti and all the cap space to acquire people. You have John Spytek from the Bucks organization who have done very well in their draft and develop their mindset and in terms of building a roster. So I feel like that's one where the Raiders, obviously in a tough AFC West, but have blue chip high end pieces to in 2 years, maybe even 3, really become a force to be reckoned with in that AFC. Harbaugh with the Giants, third. Think again, I had this at 2 before, but I think when Monken goes to Cleveland, and you've clearly been left in the lurch when it comes to your OC search, and then your OC comes to be Matt Nagy, it's just like, I don't know, as a question mark. Like I think Cliff Kingsbury, I believe, is still very much available, and you've seen what he's able to do with Jaden Daniels, and you feel that that's one that could easily translate with Jackson Dart. And when you look at Matt Nagy's resume in recent years, it's the worst football Mahomes has played. Obviously, he's still at a pretty decent level in a Super Bowl in one of those years, but he's not play calling for one, and the offense hasn't been exactly the driving force like it was when Eric Bieniemy was there, which is why the Chiefs bring him back and kind of, little by little, gingerly just push Nagy out the door, and now he, instead of getting a head coaching job, which was widely expected, he ends up being the OC for the Giants. So I guess the staff is kind of where I have this top 3, ranked in terms of what they've built, and why I have Stefanski as 2 and Mentor at 3. Mentor at 1, apologies, because I believe, 1, Baltimore's obviously the best roster out of the 3 by the widest of margins you can consider, and you've also accompanied it with Declan Dorr coming in. Mint is going to be the play caller, but Anthony Weaver's defensive coordinator as well. From he's had days in Baltimore, they know each other, and from what he's done with the Dolphins, like not the best roster, but definitely feel that they did the best with what was available. And Stefanski with Tommy retaining Jeff Ulbrich, Tommy Rees' offense coordinator, but also supplementing that with Alex Van Pelt, QB coach, Tanner Engstrand, pass game coordinator. So you've essentially just built up this wealth of experience for a quarterback with a lot of question marks, but also you've retained the defensive staff, which had a team that was second in sacks over the regular season. So with the top 3, it's very much a staffing issue with what they've been able to supplement their coaching staff with. And I feel like, despite the fact that Harbaugh is going to bring a much better culture, a much higher standard than there have been in years past, I question whether the staff is able to have a Patriots-like impact in year 1 like Vrabel has had with what he's been able to acquire. Like the Giants don't even have a great amount of cap space at this moment in time as we speak. They've got $7 million, even with the increase or the rise in the salary cap. So they aren't able to have the spending spree in free agency that the Patriots were able to do last year. So it's going to be a lot of improving what you've got there. And Denard Wilson, who comes highly rated from the Titans, could say that's going to be a benefit. But I have very big questions as whether Matt Nagy can be able to bring about the progress and the development of Jackson Dart that we saw present with Daboll in there, and even Kafka for a spell, and that I believe Cliff Kingsbury could have brought for the Giants. So, yeah, that's my ranking 1 to 10. I'm sure there'll be people watching this who disagree. Let me know in the comments, how would you change this ranking? How would you, move this one along? I'd love to hear from the views of the podcast. But yeah, this is my view on the coaching cycle for this year. And that's episode 26 of the DNP podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Like, rate, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay up to date with each upload. And let's all enjoy the Super Bowl coming this Sunday. Bye-bye.